Welcome to Intuitive Mobility. I'm Logan Christopher, and I'll be your guide through this video course that details everything I know about mobility and how to take this to levels that few people think are possible. In this first video, I just want to introduce you to the ideas of intuitive mobility and some of the benefits behind mobility. So what is mobility? We're going to get to a little bit more of a discerning definition later, but in general, mobility is the ability to move. And so if we're talking about benefits, one of the old maxims that everyone's heard is use it or lose it, which means reverse, don't use it equals lose it is also true. And this is why we have the vision in our mind of elderly people that shuffle around that have a hard time getting up out of chairs and that sort of thing. And I've fallen and I can't get up, right? It's because they don't use their mobility, thus they lose it as they advance in age. It's not necessarily because of the deterioration of age, just that stacked over time, they're not using their mobility, and thus they have less and less and less of it. So if we go the opposite way, we use it, not only will we maintain our mobility, but we will expand it. And that's really important. That's what this course is about, and this is why intuitive mobility is going to help you to move better with longevity, to be able to go into old age moving very well, better than many of the young people out there, because let's face it, there's a lot of immobile young people out there as well. So some of the specific benefits is, one of the ideas is joints, and that's what we focus on. When we're talking about mobility, there's a big focus on the joints. Fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulders. We'll go into more detail of all this, but it's the bending parts of our body. The muscles are what's used to make the movement happen, but the mobility is kind of centered around the joint. And in the joint, there's the joint capsule. Depends a little bit on the type of joint, and you really don't need to know all the anatomical details in order to understand this, but you have a joint capsule, and that is coated in what is known as synovial fluid. And just by moving the joint around, that gets all the area, the surface area of the bones in that joint, in that capsule, coated in synovial fluid. And this is important for allowing pain-free movement, allowing good quality movement, is to have that joint coated in that synovial fluid. So that's one of the benefits of mobility. It just allows this lubrication to go on so that our joints can move very well. It's like if you were to drive a car that didn't have oil in it, then that could be a problem, because that's used to lubricate the various mechanics of the car. It's a similar thing inside of our body. But that analogy only goes so far, because our bodies are not simply machines, and that gets to the intuitive aspect of it. So the second big benefit, second area we'll be talking a lot about, is the nervous system. The system, starting in the brain, you have the central nervous system, the spine. The signals are firing back and forth between our body down to the tips of our fingers and through the brain and everywhere else that help to or control this movement, that get it initiated or wherever we want to move. So all these movements that I'm making, it's the nervous system that is firing and that is guiding that to do. So when we work on joint mobility, especially in specific ways, it is opening up the nervous system. It is allowing greater nervous pathways to be formed in order to help our movement. And that's one of the things that we're working with intuitive mobility. It's not just to have basic mobility that, good enough is good enough, a sort of maintenance, but to ever expand with it. Because remember, use it equals expanding it. And this is also expanding our nervous system and the control we have with our movement. So the third thing I want to address here is the intuition, and that, of course, in the title here, intuitive mobility. What is that about? Kind of a rational explanation of our intuition is we collect experiences, and it doesn't matter what the area is, but we collect experiences, and that gets stored basically in our subconscious or unconscious and something like that. And at some point, as our intuition is needed, that's kind of emerging from that unconscious and allowing us to do things. So what we're going through in this course is how to really build up that experience base with mobility and get to a place where you really can do it in an intuitive way that further expands your abilities and isn't just you thinking that you're intuitive, because there's kind of a fuzzy line between actual intuition and just hallucination about something. So we'll definitely be talking more about what that is involved. And with this benefit, intuition, it gets you better in tune with your body. So your body is sending feedback signals to through your nervous system all the time. Whether you're conscious of these or not is really up to you. And it's bringing more of this into the consciousness where you really are going to build this intuition and have greater control and feedback and a greater way of listening to your body. Because that's another common maxim, is that you should listen to your body. But few people really talk about how to do that. And that idea is really what is wrapped up into intuitive mobility. So with this practice, as we go along these videos, by doing this stuff, you're going to have a greater attunement with your body. You're going to be able to understand the code, that feedback that it's giving you at all times. So that's an overview of the benefits of doing this practice. Of course, there probably are plenty of other things. This can be a fun thing to do. It certainly will be challenging as well. You can set goals for yourself. There's a lot more that can go into it, but that's enough for now. I'm sure we'll address some things as we go along. I'll see you in the next video.